Seeking to elicit a negative emotional reaction from viewers by playing on the audience's primal fears is what the Wikipedia definition says about the horror genre in cinema. Going by this definition, in no way can we limit a horror film only to ones that deal with the supernatural, monsters or spooky effects waiting at each corner of the frame. A horror film can be, must be much beyond that. However, one would be surprised to find how criminally underexplored this genre has been in the rich history of Indian cinema, where most attempts have been direct rip-offs from Hollywood or Southeast Asian popular stuff lacking minimum aesthetics. Then again, rich exceptions will always be there. This is Filmcopat's list of top 5 Indian horror movies and our analysis on what makes these films different from the others. To watch out for more lists like this, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon not to miss any new video notifications. There's no denying the role of the unknown in horror films. The advancing footsteps, dark shadows and corners, being followed by hidden eyes or sudden visuals of the unexpected are motifs used in horror films over the years. However, addition of these production values alone does not make a great horror. We call it a great horror when there's an underlying subtext in addition to the main plot, and the audience can relate to that subtext, thus turning the film into a much more personal experience. That is why most of the effective horrors are often based on characters within family and friends, with things going wrong inside their homes. One would feel the safest in their homes within friends and family, and if a film can successfully question that safe abode, it automatically prospers in scaring the audience. In India, misogyny thrives inside the homes more than anywhere else, and a careful inspection would suggest that good Indian horrors are more often statements against misogyny, and the not-so-great ones are found to be misogynist in itself. That brings us to our number 5 placeholder, Stree, directed by Amar Kaushik. Stree brought a new genre itself in Bollywood, that of horror comedy with equal blend of eeriness and original laughs, based on the Naleba legend that went viral in Karnataka in the 90s. Stree is a fantastic feminist take using mainstream tropes in novel contexts. Set in the village of Chanderi, Stree is a story of a female spirit who mimics familiar voices and abducts male who respond to them on the 4 days of an annual festival. The creative duo of Raj and DK come up with very clever writing. The male do not roam alone at night, scared of Stree, the female. When abducted, the men leave behind their clothes, later to be collected by their families. But even then, Stree preys only upon men who respond, that is, consent to her call. Stree urges that a yes consent is default for even a female ghost, while Indian men need to be shouted at over and over with no means no, in a beautiful reference to the 2016 hit Pink. The crisis men face in Stree is what exactly we have grown to seeing women facing in India and its cinema, thus setting up a counterculture Indian society in Chanderi village. Men for once get short end of the stick with the feminist subtext crying out loud that this is what women in the country face every single day. The talented male actor combo of Apar Shakti Khurana, Abhishek Banerjee, Rajkumar Rao and Pankaj Tripathi are all in superb form, balancing the film on their able shoulders. Stree is an engaging commentary, a freaky fun counterpart to the profound 2013 classic Under the Skin in more than a few ways. Moving on to number 4 in the list, we have Gayi, the 1980 horror drama by Vikas Desai and Aruna Raje. At a time when the Ramsey brothers were at their peak with their B-grade horror movies pulling off instant hits, Gayi was a stupendous trend deviation in the context of the Hindi movie industry. After selling his ancestral village farm to a factory, a successful businessman finds his daughter possessed by a spirit. This deceptively simple story fits in fine to the present-day corporate culture, devoid of dignity of labor, and its underlying theme of environment and its decay is unique in the context of Indian horror movies. Men are ruthlessly replaced by machines, and its horrific social context turns into supernatural metaphors in the film. Aforementioned themes of crisis in the family and subtle misogyny are effectively used so as to create a relatable horror for the Indian audience. Sound mix from the Grand Prix racing cars, coupled with Jalal Agha's voice of the spirit, create a unique spooky atmosphere hardly witnessed before in Hindi cinema. Dr. Sriram Lagu, Anant Nag, and Padmini Kolhapure give noteworthy performances. However, it is the cameo of Amrish Puri which perhaps leaves the most mark. Interestingly, it is this tantric performance in Gayi which impressed Steven Spielberg so much that he had cast Puri in his Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Unfortunately, a film which had so much to offer was in headlines for its brief nudity and Padmini Kolhapure Prince Charles controversy that happened around the film's release. Gayi is available for free in YouTube in most countries. Please give it your time and let us know what you feel about this yesteryear horror. At number 3, we have the Marathi movie Call, The Calling by Adish Keluskar. A rare and highly underrated gem known to very few Indian cine lovers. It's a surreal experience, and like any great horror movie, the film disturbs you more after the end credits roll. The kind of discomfort Call generates for its viewers is unique. It feels like an insect wriggling on your skin, which you struggle to ward away. A brilliant Rohit Kokate plays a school teacher from the city who takes up a village job and, in certain strange turn of supernatural events, loses his sanity. Or does he? On advice of his psychiatrist, he comes back to the same place where he had met an old man in the middle of the night asking him for matchsticks. Was the old man for real, hallucination, or something supernatural? The debutant director questions meaning of sane and insane, real and imaginary in this obscure narrative, which opens with a Nietzsche quote, "And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music." Camera work using natural lights by Ameya Chavan and the work by the entire sound design team is top-notch, adding further layers to this unique feature. Call raises distinct philosophical questions with one conflicting the other, exposing the audience to the horror of nothing being absolute. It is this sense of emptiness that the film successfully creates, which causes the discomfort to an audience habituated in rooting for a cause. Okay, for the number 2 in our list now. It is Monihara, The Lost Jewels, the second story from Satyajit Ray's anthology film Teen Konna, based on Tagore's shorts. Ray's horror attempt somehow misses due mention in discussions around his rich filmography and perhaps in most similar horror listings. Monihara is the story of Phony Bhushan and his beautiful wife Moni Malika and her abnormal obsession for ornaments. The wife's unfulfilled desire for motherhood enhances this obsession further, with a box of jewels being the sole purpose of her life. What happens when her husband wants her to part with her treasure in a dire financial crisis sets the premise of the story. Monihara is an atmospheric horror with a large riverside manor, wind blowing through its corridors, and a full moon on the water. It's the genius of Ray in extracting eeriness out of Moni Malika's beautiful rendition of a Tagore song, which when combined with the sinister background scores ended up giving goosebumps to the viewers. Konika Mojumdar playing Moni Malika is phenomenal, carrying a haunting charm all through. The material love in her eyes, the distrust in her voice, and the numb, loveless countenance adds up to the darkness all around, all ending into an horrific climax. This climax is not for the faint-hearted, a visual you might carry for ages, and yet Ray stretches the film for a further twist, leaving the audience in a state of awe in a deadly dosage of shock and horror together. Interestingly, this is also a film hurting the safety of the abode with subtle hints at societal objectifications. As always, before moving to the number 1 film in our list, let us talk about some special mentions.
The Indian folklore has enough power to build a horror powerhouse, but unfortunately, our cinema has hardly tapped into the wealth like Thai Japanese or Indonesian cinema. That is until Rahul Sadasivan scratches upon the surface of our rich folklore in his second feature, Brahma Yugam. Yes, the metaphors and the analogies do not always land, and you wish for better tied threads by the end of the film. But Brahma Yugam demands a mention for its sheer audacity, minimalistic making, and stupendous camera work, and the idea of a demon which is still lurking around, preying on our freedom and liberty. And of course, for the superhuman performance of Mammootty, the greatest actor of our cinema. The second special mention in our list is Pisasu,
by the actor-director My Skin, a unique horror romance. Pisasu is not your regular portion of chills and thrills, and hence not in our primary list. But it's a terrific addition to the hegemony of Tamil cinema's genre subversion attempts. Pisasu can be considered as a love at last sight film, in a distinct blend of romance, comedy, drama, and horror. Bhavani falls for Siddharth minutes before succumbing to a road accident, only returning as a spirit to Siddharth's apartment out of unconditional love. As always, My Skin creates quirky set pieces and his regular tropes of abstract camera angles, stylized visual, empirical action, and sudden deviations to a completely unrelated and yet relevant sequence. But what stands out for Pisasu is the continuous and perhaps intentional attempt in breaking all the horror movie templates we discussed so far. This is a ghost movie in the house which protects and not hurts. A ghost for the family and friends, for fathers and mothers, and even in mother-in-laws. And by the time you reach the twisted climax, you realize further how clever the movie has been all along. And that brings us to the top Indian horror movie in our list. Another horror within the family, another one calling out misogyny, once again starting with a quote to establish the universality and timeliness of its theme. The famous Gandhi quote reads, "The world has enough for everyone's needs, but not for everyone's greeds." Yes, it's Tumbad, a contemporary classic from India. The fable-like narrative in Tumbad creates a universe of its own. The creative combination of Rahi Barve and Anand Gandhi brings magical visual imagery on the screen. And in the essence of true cinema, the sound, camera, the production sets all play major part in the narrative. Tumbad is a parable of greed, where a man goes down further and further to bring home more riches, deceiving a banished, devilish god. This going down is both figurative and literal, like so many other metaphorical motifs in the movie. Tumbad is a place near Pune, where the story unfolds. A place always drenched by heavy rains. A place which always pulls you back in anticipation, overriding all efforts to run away. It is a time when India is on the verge of gaining independence. A time when a certain Nathuram Godse, only a few kilometers away, is considering his chances to assassinate the father of the upcoming nation. Is Tumbad pointing at the origin of a country built upon greed, deceit, misogyny, and violence? Is today's India always meant to be such from its origin? Is the rain-invested ruins of Tumbad with gold hidden underneath a representation of India sitting on the verge of moral breakdown? Maybe, or maybe not. The questions are left hanging. After all, there's no greater horror than hopelessness. For more videos and listings like this, please subscribe to our channel. Please hit the bell icon to get more new video notifications and comment if you think of any other horror movie which we should have included in the list. Thanks for watching.